Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Coming up this week, there's another management shakeup at Walt Disney World. Universal Orlando is reporting huge profits for the second quarter, and a Disney employee is charged with sexual assault. And the DIS Unplugged is celebrating its 9th anniversary this week. I'm going to take a little trip down memory lane a little later on. Also coming up, because I didn't put it in my script, sorry. Coming up a little later on, Dustin and the team are going to talk about merchandise locations, doing one of his famous bracket shows about the best places to shop at Walt Disney World. All that coming up next. From the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida, this is the DIS Unplugged. This is the DIS Unplugged, episode 833 for the week of July 27th, 2015. The DIS Unplugged is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect Disney vacation. Visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the show, coming to you from the Bob Varley Studio in Orlando, Florida. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined at the table this week by my good friends Dustin West.
Hello.
Jenny Lynn Knopp.
Hello.
Teresa Eccles.
Hi.
Kathy Whirling.
Hi, everybody.
And back in the production nook, Rhino Clavin on the switch.
Hello.
And our associate producer, the lovely and talented Gregory Ann Williams.
Hello. What was that?
Gregory Ann.
Okay.
So it's good to be back. I haven't been here for a couple weeks. Was out doing the Adventures by Disney trip in California and the San Francisco trip. We kind of married those together. Ended up in Disneyland on the 60th anniversary. It was incredible. And decided to stay a couple extra days and kind of chill because I needed it.
Yeah.
After, two really intense trips back to back.
Both of them packed.
Yeah. And I really, really, really underestimated what that was going to be like for me. Because apparently I am fat and old and I can't do things anymore the way I used to. So by the end of that backstage magic, I was in full-on rebellion. No, I'm not doing anything. Not showing up anywhere. I'll show up for the farewell dinner. That's it. I was tired. But anyway, it's good to be home. It's good to be back. And definitely have a number of things I do want to talk about in housekeeping. First and foremost, want to remind everybody to send us an email, leave us a voicemail with your questions, comments, concerns about the show. DISUnplugged.com. Over on the right-hand side, you'll see a nice little box that says talk to us or something like that. And you can leave your voicemail right from there. It's a very nice feature. Do it right from your computer. Or you can go ahead and send us some feedback. And the reason I'm making a point of that is because not next week, but the week after, you're going to have a solo show going up because no one else is going to be here. Dustin's going home to visit his family before we head up to Nova Scotia for that DIS meet. And the rest of the team, my production team in particular, is going to be out in California for D23. So I've got, we could do a show, but...
I could teach you, Teresa, how to run all that stuff.
We'd have to do...
Oh, I want to do that.
Yeah,
Put me in charge of controls.
Yeah, no. So I'll just be doing a solo show. August 11th, that'll go up. And also want to mention the Disneyland edition of the DIS Unplugged goes out live every Friday evening, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Sunday on Mixlr.com, Mixlr.com. The shows go up on iTunes on Mondays and Tuesdays every week. This week, Mary Jo Mulatto Willie takes a day 6 drive to some of the beaches near LAX, and the team tells you what you need to know about the upcoming D23 Expo, which I know a lot of people are very excited about. If you're going to be at D23, we have a booth, a big booth, a huge booth on the show floor. So come by and say hello. Jenny Lynn, Craig, Rhino, Corey, Will, John, Kevin, Tom Bell, Michael Bowling. I think some of our other Disneyland correspondents are going to be out there.
Tracy
Heinrichs from Dreams Unlimited Travel. All going to be out there dancing and singing and doing whatever you do on a floor at a convention. Also, every Wednesday, disunplugged.com, The Trip, starring Jenny Lynn Knopp and Teresa Eccles. And what are you talking about this week?
This week, we're going to do my road trip recap. I'm going to talk about the places I stopped along the way, and for the locals in those areas, what they can do and the fun things that we did.
You're going to tell the locals?
I'm going to tell the locals. Well, if you're in St.
Isn't that
Louis,
a
you
little
might
backwards?
know. No, the people in that general area, because sometimes you don't go to what's near you, right? You're always going off someplace else. So
Okay.
I think it'll be fun.
It's going to be good.
It's going to be good, right?
Of
Right?
course. We're on the show.
Oh, there you go.
It'll be entertaining.
I'm going to be up late tonight because I've got to admit I procrastinated and I have to look through some of your video and I
Dustin.
imagine
and he yells at you guys for giving him stuff at the
Yeah.
last
Oh
minute,
my
and then when you don't,
gosh.
he procrastinates. So.
but I am looking forward to looking at your footage from that. It should
But
be-
you see, that's his fault then.
Yeah, no, that's
as opposed to
completely
like
my
fault. Okay.
getting it on a Tuesday night from
Yeah,
you
look
two.
at it.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I didn't even look at it. Grace shot most of it, so
be fun.
good luck
Oh,
with that.
oh wow.
It's going to be.
Well, that's because I yell at you for recording while you're driving.
I know, so it's, yeah.
Just turning off my screensaver here. Also, every Thursday, 1 p.m. Eastern, DISUnplugged.com, the universal edition of the DIS Unplugged, with Craig, Rhino, Jenny Lynn, and Dustin. Craig, what have you got coming up this week?
This week is a pre-recorded show that will go up Thursday at 1 o'clock because I will be out of state, but it is an email show with a lot of hijinks and shenanigans and good old-fashioned
What the
fun.
hell goes on?
We got a little loopy because Dustin had to leave for that one, so it just went down to the three of us, and we were tired after the first one, so
Okay.
it's interesting.
Shenanigans.
I know that
Yes.
feeling.
Hijinks and
Hijinks.
Hijinks
can't
and
wait to see it.
shenanigans.
So that's what's coming up this week on the various iterations of the DIS Unplugged, which brings me to something I want to talk about. While I was away, there was a news story talked about in our show regarding the Confederate flag being removed from the American Adventure at Epcot. And I understand it was a lively conversation. We'll say that. We'll say it was lively. What I want to address specifically are some of the comments that came in from some of our listeners and our viewers that really offended me. First and foremost, there seemed to be this idea that an opinion could not be expressed unless John, Kevin, or I were sitting at the table. And I've noticed this before, that apparently the only opinions that seem to count are mine, to some of you, certainly not all of you. But the only opinions that seem to matter are those that come from either John, Kevin, or myself. And while I appreciate that our voices and our opinions are heard and respected, I do not appreciate that the opinions of anyone else in this room are any less important or any less viable than those expressed by the three of us. And unfortunately, John and Kevin couldn't be here today. Kevin's sick, and John had a business issue he had to deal with, so that's why they're not here. And more importantly, I'm going to say something that's probably going to get me in some trouble with some people, but especially when those opinions seem to come from the women in the room, you guys have a problem with it. And I got a problem with that, because I have some really smart, strong, talented women working in my organization, and their opinions are valued every bit as much as mine. I don't always agree with them, and I did not agree with everything said at the table. Let me be clear. I did not agree with everything that was said at this table regarding that issue. I have very, very strong feelings about the Confederate flag. It is a symbol of traitors. It is a symbol of racism, and it has no place in our society. That's my opinion. And had I been here, I would have expressed that. Not everybody at the table shared that opinion. Not everybody watching shared that opinion. The idea of a functional environment is an environment where 10 different people can have 10 different opinions and no one has to be wrong. I may not agree with your opinion, but I respect it. And I may not agree with the opinions of everyone in this room. One of the things that I think has made this show great over the last 9 years is that all opinions are welcome, even the ones that don't agree with me. And if I can do that sitting here, I think some of you guys can be a little more understanding and tolerant and not be so attacking. And I was really offended by that, and I will defend every single person in this room and every single person that was on that show even if I didn't agree with them. And so, like I said, some of it I didn't agree with. But an opinion doesn't just get expressed when I'm sitting at the table. I trust these people. These people do a wonderful job. These people allow me to go and do some of the things I need to do and I want to do, going and having the experience I had in San Francisco and California with a group of Dizzers, having an amazing time. And that we didn't have to not do a show because I had really good, competent, capable people, and I'm very proud of them. And I'm very proud of the job they did. I'm very proud of the job they do. And I'll stand by them, even when I don't agree with them. Nothing said here was so horribly offensive that somebody needs to be taken out back, as one person put it to me. So, if you have a problem with people expressing opinions, if you have a problem with women expressing opinions, go somewhere else. Go somewhere else. I don't want you in my audience. I don't need a big audience for this. I really don't. I don't make any money off this show. We don't do advertising on this show. This show is not a cost center in my company. And I'm not going to mute any single person sitting in this room because it may be a little controversial. So if you have a problem with opinions, this is not the show for you. And if you have a problem with women with opinions, this is definitely not the show for you. Done. Just so everybody knows where I stand.
Thank you, Pete.
Thanks, Pete.
Appreciate it.
With that said, over to Dustin with the news.
Well, I've got some housekeeping.
Oh, you got some housekeeping?
Yes.
Good.
Happy
You should have come
housekeeping.
in. You should have come in before me.
Yeah, I should have. That was my bad. I forgot about this one, though. On a happy note, of course, we love doing things for Give Kids the World. The DIS Give Kids the World MagicBand skins are now available at magicyourband.com.
Oh, that's right.
Through the DIS official merchandise section that you'll find on the left-hand side of the page. They cost $7 each. Shipping's free, and 100% of the proceeds go straight to Give Kids the World. And they're really well done. I believe Will did the final design on the bands.
I know Will and Corey worked very hard on those.
Yeah, no, and they're amazing. So if you want to help support Give Kids the World, and then also show while you're walking around the parks that you support Give Kids the World, then go out and buy one of these bands for a really great cause.
Awesome.
Cool.
And that's my housekeeping.
All right. And now over to Dustin with the news.
I will actually do the news now. And
The news is what I will be reading.
the news is what is next from me. Okay, so the first news story is that there's another shakeup in management at Walt Disney World.
I should have seen this one coming. But go ahead.
Okay. And I have some opinions on the matter as well.
No, you don't.
I do.
You're not allowed to share your
It's
opinion.
valid. Okay. Over the next month, Dan Cockrell, Vice President of Disney's Hollywood Studios, and Phil Holmes, Vice President of Magic Kingdom, will be switching jobs. Cockrell has been in charge at Hollywood Studios since 2011, and Holmes has overseen the Magic Kingdom since 2001. This move comes soon after the announcement that Melissa Valaquette, former Director of Operations at Magic Kingdom, will be the new Vice President of Epcot. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, my opinion is that Phil Holmes has been at the Magic Kingdom for quite some time, and it's interesting that he's switching with Dan Cockrell, who I see having had him as my vice president as a cast member and was really great. I definitely see him as a future face of at least Walt Disney World executive management moving forward.
Well, there's two sides. There's two aspects of this, not two sides, but two aspects of this. Number one, Dan Cockrell's being groomed. He's been being groomed for a while, and I think that's generally a good thing. I like Dan Cockrell. There's some things he did at Epcot that I thought were a little boneheaded, but generally speaking, I think he's very, very good. I certainly love his father, Lee Cockrell, was a great VP at Disney for many years. A good friend of the show. We've had him on the show a few times. But that's not the reason they're doing this. Phil Holmes oversaw a massive overhaul to the Magic Kingdom. Construction walls. He is the vice president of construction walls. And not because he goes and puts those projects into place, but he's the one that has to manage a park when mass construction is going on. And as we have been talking about for I don't know how many years, Hollywood Studios is about to undergo a massive overhaul. They want somebody in there because that overhaul is going to make the Magic Kingdom look quaint.
Yeah.
And I don't know how he's going to do it. This is going to be a management challenge, and we should all, if you're Catholic, go light a candle for Phil Holmes, because I don't know how he's going to handle it, because it is going to be extraordinary. It is going to be massive. It is going to be sweeping. It is going to be pretty much park-wide. And I hope I'm right about all that, because Disney hasn't announced anything yet.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure I'm right. I know I'm right. But the how he's going to manage that park with basically a ride and a half open, I don't know. But it's going to be a challenge, and it also, if he does it well, could be huge for his career at Disney. I mean, when you can pull off miracles at Disney, as a Disney manager, that gets noticed. That gets noticed up the food chain. So that's the reason this switch is happening, though. They need
That makes sense.
They need a VP that has real experience dealing with massive construction, traffic interruption, guest issues, things like that, in place, because they can't. I've said it before, and this is proof that I'm right. They can't screw this up, and they know it. They have got to get this right. They have got to get this right. The stakes are too high now, especially when we come up with our next news story about Universal's profits for the second quarter. I'm sorry if I'm stealing any of your thunder, but you're not doing a news show this week. So there.
Oh, we already
We
recorded
did it
the
last
story,
week.
but
But you didn't do it with me.
nope.
When they talk about, we talk about this next news story, Disney has got to get the Hollywood Studios project right, and they need the right guy in there. And it's got to be Phil Holmes. Not that Dan Cockrell couldn't have done it.
Yeah.
So
Right.
why reinvent the wheel? And quite frankly, I think Dan Cockrell is much happier going to the Magic Kingdom, where it's pretty much done.
Yeah.
Versus having to oversee what is going to be clusterfudge.com. And it's cleaned up for iTunes. So that's my thought on that. But I think again we're talking about two really good executives, so it's all good. It's all good. Kind of comes out in the wash, but I think Phil Holmes is the right guy to put in Hollywood Studio.
It's like they get a twofer out of the deal, because Dan Cockrell then gets familiar with Magic Kingdom,
Yeah.
and that
and
grooming,
Phil Holmes is there at Studios to make sure everything gets done right.
and Dan Cockrell continues the path of grooming.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
So, okay, I'm done now.
Okay.
Next.
Our next story is that Universal Orlando Resort is posting record-breaking profits. The Philadelphia-based Comcast Corporation. Philadelphia. I sound like Craig on the Universal show. Sorry,
Oh,
buddy.
damn. Getting ugly
He
up in
makes
here.
up his own words. Reported second quarter revenue for its theme parks, including Universal Studios Florida and Islands of Adventure in Orlando. They have increased 25.7% to $773 million compared to $615 million for the same quarter last year. And of course, Comcast attributed the increase to higher guest attendance and per capita spending driven by the continued success of the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Diagon Alley. The company's overall theme park operating cash flow also jumped 44.9% to $354 million.
When did they open Diagon Alley? What year?
It was a year ago, July 8th, 2014.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just had its 1 year birthday.
Just
Yep.
Okay.
a month ago.
Okay.
There's a lot of numbers here, a lot of increases, but Comcast executives admitted that they don't expect to see a fast-paced momentum of Diagon Alley to continue now that it's a year older. That's a natural expectation, as the growth will probably lower to something more realistic, say single-digit returns, and it may push Comcast to continue investing at theme parks to maintain at least a fraction of those quarterly returns.
Well, first of all, it's an interesting number because it does actually reflect what impact Diagon Alley had on the numbers. I mean, yeah, you're talking about 26% increase in revenue, but you're talking about a 45% increase in cash flow on that, which, trust me, for a business, cash flow is king, and especially that kind of business. So not only are they bringing more people in, these people are spending more. And so that's really good news. It's for some reason I thought this was its second year. I don't know why I thought that, but given that it's its first year, that comparison is no Diagon Alley to Diagon Alley. The next report we get out of them in October, I guess it'll be, will tell us what its opening quarter versus its first year quarter look like.
Well, the thing with Universal is we'll never ever get a true clean comparison of Diagon Alley this year versus Diagon Alley next year, because they're always adding something, it seems, with Universal.
True.
There's always something new that is, bringing people to the parks.
At the end of the day, Comcast executives don't care as much about that as they do that number is in the plus column.
Yeah.
That's what they want to see. And what they're trying to do is manage investor expectations right now by saying we're expecting single-digit growth, moving forward with this. And that's smart. Lower expectations and then over-deliver, and then Wall Street goes insane and your stock price jumps. That's what they're doing. I think they know full well they're probably going to do better than single-digit. Because they've done, it's not just about opening up an area of the park, opening up or adding a new attraction. That's certainly a big part. That's the draw. Once you get them there, you got to manage them. And you got to get them to come back. This is where Universal has done a brilliant job. That in creating it's almost a requirement now that you have a two-park pass, even if it's for a day, because everybody wants to ride Hogwarts Express, and to get on Hogwarts Express, you've got to have a two-park pass. And that's certainly helping. The revenue from merchandise is certainly helping, but they're managing their parks, they're managing their resorts, they're managing their guests so much better now than they were 5 years ago. It is stunning. Stunning. Not just that, but the excitement, pride, and personal investment of the people working there now is at a level I've never seen before. Do not ever underestimate that. Do not ever underestimate how important that is. It's an intangible. You can't have that on a line item in your quarterly report, but it certainly makes a lot of difference to what that number is. And those numbers are really high, and I would suggest that the attitude, feeling, and investment of Universal, what do they call them again?
Team
members is probably higher right now than it is at their counterparts at Disney, both on the ground in the front lines in the theme parks and in management. And so I think Universal's lowering expectations for the next quarterly report or next year's numbers by saying single digits, but I think it's going to be better than that, and I think they know it. We'll see. But it's a great report. It's great to see, and it just kind of amps up the competition. It amps up the competition because at the end of the day, people don't always look at what's behind those numbers. They just see 45% in the second quarter, and then Disney releases their numbers, and their numbers aren't going to be that good. Wait till Star Wars Land opens, then come back and talk to me about what happens with numbers. But this is just all part of this great competition that's going on. Yeah. And I'm loving life right now.
I'm loving it.
So I'm done.
Okay, on to the final news story, and just a fair warning, if you have kids or you don't want to hear a news story that's maybe not so magical, then maybe you can skip a few minutes ahead from this segment. But our third news story is a suspect in downtown Disney sexual battery case is a Disney employee. This one's rough. More details have been released in the sexual battery case that occurred at downtown Disney last week. As reported earlier, the suspect Hector Herrera, 26, was arrested at his home in Buenaventura Lakes. The Orlando Sentinel is now reporting that Herrera was a Disney employee, though Disney declined to mention where he worked or how long he's been employed by the company. A company spokeswoman said he was placed on unpaid leave. This is where it gets a little rough. The victim was found in the early morning hours of July 16th, lying naked in some bushes behind the House of Blues. Her clothes, purse, and a prophylactic were found nearby. She remembered dancing at the club, but couldn't recall any events after that. Surveillance videos showed Herrera talking to her late at night, just after her friends left the club. They began dancing, and he made sexual gestures. A few minutes later, they left together with the woman leaning on him for support, held by the waist. The police report says he confessed to having sex. He described her as stumbling with him out to his car, but before they reached the parking lot, she stopped him. After the heat of the moment subsided, he realized he had made a mistake. He says he tried to get her dressed, but left her in the bushes when she was too out of it.
He's a real charmer.
Yeah. He's in the Osceola County Jail and posted $50,000 bail.
All right, now how much trouble do I want to get in here? Couple things about this story too that were not read. This guy's got, first of all, he's innocent until proven guilty. This guy has a history of drug-related arrests and mostly a DUI and marijuana possession. And quite possible he's got a problem. This young lady, from all accounts, was very intoxicated. Very intoxicated. And, you know, I don't know. I don't know. There's a part of me that wants to say here, look, if you're going to go out and get drunk like that, you know, you're responsible for what you do. You're responsible. You know, I'm a recovering alcoholic and drug addict. Number of things I did in my addiction that I would have loved to blame on other people. But the fact of the matter is nobody puts a gun in my head and puts a drink in my hand. I make those choices. Now, if this was non-consensual, I don't care how drunk you are. He's wrong and he goes to jail. Period. But who knows if it was non-consensual?
She can't remember.
She can't remember.
I don't know the motivations.
And, you know, it's, you know, the whole lying naked in the bushes thing doesn't look good either. But, you know, if I wake up lying naked in the bushes because I was too drunk, very drunk the night before, and I'm not blaming the victim. I don't know that this is a victim here. I don't know she's a victim. It could very well have been consensual just because the consent is under the influence.
Yeah.
You know, it sounds like both of them were under the influence.
Here's the deal. I don't think that this would even be making news if she had gotten dressed and they had both left. But or if he had dressed her.
No,
and,
the above the fold part of this is naked in the bushes.
Right.
And
all we would have had here was, you know, people have sex on security camera at Walt Disney World, if that was the case. And otherwise, this would be a different story. But he had a split decision to make where he realized he had done something wrong. He tried to dress her, but then ended up
what he said.
scooting.
Well, this is what he's saying, and the fact of the matter is there's also responsibility on the part. You know, if you're helping somebody out of a bar and you're having to hold them up by the waist, chances are you shouldn't have sex with them. Chances are strong. That's probably a bad decision because the person is clearly compromised.
Can we talk about just
something else?
Well, well, that is true, but just because this is, you know, a Disney show, what does this mean for the fact that it was at House of Blues and that he was a Disney employee?
Look,
she was the Disney cast member too, I think.
Was she?
It sounds like it was service industry.
Yeah,
right?
and that's I think that's what it was.
Look,
Yeah.
at House of Blues.
Whether it's at Disney or not, you know, alcohol is entered into the mix, and we don't know if it was just alcohol or other things, but alcohol is the assumption here. because it was at House of Blues, and I don't think they have a Coke bar. But the assumption is that, you know, two people got drunk and something happened. And, you know, where there's alcohol, this is part of what goes along with it when you serve alcohol. Now, that's not Disney's fault. You may have an argument to make that, you know, the bartenders are supposed to watch how much people are getting served. But it's impossible, especially in a busy place, for bartenders to watch everything.
Industry nights at the at House of Blues is crazy.
Yeah.
I have been there because I worked in restaurants, and that falls into their service industry night thing. It's packed. You're like sardines.
Yeah.
You can't hardly move. So to be able to and it's dark, so being able to try to gauge who is in what
it's tough for
state,
bartenders. I agree.
That would be very, very difficult.
Well, there was a security guard who saw it, saw them leaving, and he was saying that he thought about it, but he couldn't get over because his hands were like tied doing something else or something like that. So it was just one of those like side thoughts, and then this news story came out. But I want to say I had a friend who was in the college program, you know, years ago, and we were all 21, and she is the first person in my life I've ever seen have this situation, but she can't taste the alcohol, so as she drinks, she just went from 0 to like wasted. But I've also never seen somebody become like a limp body when they're drunk, and it happened out of nowhere. And so, you know, it could be one of those situations, but the difference here is like I made the right decision of like picking her up under the arms. We put her in my car. I brought her home. I brought her to the thing. And if I couldn't do it myself, I enlisted the help of the people who were at the party with me. And I said, my friend had too much to drink. Can we help her? You know what I mean? This guy could have called security. It's Disney World. There's security people everywhere.
That was not his
choice.
Well,
it was not his intention. He clearly had intended to have sex with her.
That's what I'm saying.
We don't, you know, look, there are so many details about this we don't know. I mean, again, the salacious part of it is naked in the bushes. And so that's where it kind of gets its attention from. We don't know what all the details are. We don't even know if this wasn't consensual, and she can't say because she was in a blackout. Well,
she supposedly went with somebody. So where was her friend? Because if I was with Teresa and she got that, you know, that drunk, I would not leave her there.
Yeah.
So what happened to the friend?
No, if you were with Teresa and she got that drunk, your first phone call is to me so I can come see it. And then videotape it and play it on the show.
Let me just say, I had a friend years and years ago when I was in college, a friend and I went out drinking. And we did separate. But she told I was ready to leave and she wasn't. She said, "Go on, I'll be okay."
Okay.
And 2 days later, I'm going back in my car to try to find her, where she was okay. But I'm just saying, the friend, she could have said, "Go ahead and leave me."
Well, she
but
could have.
This whole thing, what is getting to me is it's on Disney property. It's not a bubble everybody thinks it is.
No.
And I tell Grace that all the time because she goes to House of Blues all the time, to concerts or whatever. She's not of drinking age yet, but still. Crap can happen
Sure.
there, and you got to,
At the end of the day, when you drink, whatever happens is ultimately your responsibility. I was drunk is not an excuse. It's a reason, just not an excuse. And that was something I had to learn the hard way. I'm responsible for what I do. I'm responsible for my choices, the choice to drink. And knowing as a sentient being and an adult, knowing that when I drink, chances are I'm going to get drunk, and chances are I'm going to make bad decisions. Now, I could sit here and go through the whole, I'm an alcoholic and I have a disease. Well, that's true. Doesn't change the fact that I'm responsible for my decisions. I'm responsible for my behavior. I have to be. And I think I probably have a slightly overdeveloped sense of that because I'm a recovering alcoholic, as opposed to maybe other people. So we don't know what all the details here are. But if, this guy clearly made a bad decision, whether or not it was rape remains to be seen. But obviously the police seem to feel they have something because he was arrested, and then a judge ordered $50,000 bail. So the judge seemed to think there was something there, and there may be details we don't have here. But folks, I think it's the takeaway message is just because you're at Disney World does not mean that these things don't happen and that these risks aren't there. Alcohol comes into the mix. This can happen. So it's a sad story, and it's a sad story. I'm done now.
Good. I'm glad we're done with that one. That's it for the news.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's move on then to Rapid Fire. And Dustin, go ahead.
I'm going to read some more. We have Disney Parks blog has actually released their first look at commemorative products for the 20th Epcot International Food and Wine
God,
Festival.
Has it been 20 years?
It's 20 years, 1995 apparently. So, yeah.
I see a future Kathy mug in this picture.
They do.
There's lots of Kathy stuff in that picture.
So they have released a lot of new.
Wow,
and
that
unique
stuff looks
merchandise.
good.
This photo is just one of like 5 or 6 that's on this post by Disney Parks blog. We'll have it in the show notes. Some really cool stuff. New Dooney and Burke, a really cool Figment mug. There's a hat with a bottle opener on the brim. So how cool is that?
Oh, guess who's going to be getting that?
Oh my gosh.
Speaking of drinking too much.
Not going there. Not going there. Some really classy looking T-shirts and hats and stuff like that. And then just really cool logos for the 20th anniversary of the Food and Wine. And it seems like they have just they've gone all out with the merchandise this year compared to years past, where they would release a little bit here, then repeat it for the a couple more years, and you'd see the same kind of designs. This is all new stuff, and it looks really cool. Unique pins, plates, glasses, vinylmations with the Swedish chef. With the logo on it and stuff like that. So I'm excited for once the Food and Wine Festival finally kicks into gear this year to see what kind of merchandise that they have. And I've already got some things picked out that I've got to get.
Awesome.
I said I was saving my money to get all the Figment items, because there's the mug and the hat and the shirts, and Figment's on quite a bit.
He's on a lot of this stuff, yeah.
So I'm hoping that's good news for
Too bad he's not in that ride
moving
more.
up in the world.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I would like.
Yeah.
So I love Figment.
I don't
I
get
hate
it.
that attraction.
Right.
But I love
Yeah.
You
Figment.
don't get Figment?
No. I love you, Kathy, but
She has no imagination.
I don't.
Maybe you just had to be at Epcot when it opened to get Figment. I mean,
I don't think so.
okay. I love Figment.
Sorry,
Figment is
Kathy.
amazing.
Don't look at me that
I
way.
have a mission in life now.
I've been on the ride. It was a good.
No,
But you
No,
haven't
The
done
old
you
it.
have
ride?
not
No,
been-
no, I never.
You
No.
didn't do the old
that's-
ride.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's what she's missing.
I think that's, So, all right. Thank you, Dustin.
Yeah, you're
JL.
welcome.
Okay, I have really great news for little girls that are ages 3 to 12. The Ice Palace Boutique is now open. Yee! Okay, what that means is at Hollywood Studios, you can get a Frozen makeover. There's 3 levels of packages. There's the Frozen Summer Fun Boutique package that's $75. That means you get an Anna or Elsa shimmering makeup palette, face gems, nail polish, and a braided hair piece, and a photo opportunity. By braided hair piece, I basically, it is...
It's
you
an
get-
extension.
It's a...
It's fake.
A weave.
It's a braid, a thick one that's either reddish brown for Anna or it's blonde for Elsa, and they attach it to your head.
I'm just noticing the girl in the Disney photo is a brunette, but she has a blonde ponytail.
Well, and I was at the
And that was me when I was 19.
I was at the studios just on Sunday, and that is exactly what the little girls walking around Hollywood Studios look like. They have braids that are different colors than their hair. So I guess they let everyone pick the braid color they want. The second level is the Ice Palace Boutique package. That's $175. You get all the things that I just mentioned, plus entry into the Ice Palace Cafe and reserved seating for the sing-along and 5 guests along with the little girl. The Ice Palace Cafe is being called an immersive Frozen-themed cafe with snacks that they can eat while they wait. The third level is the Ice Palace Boutique Deluxe package. That's $240. It includes everything that I just said, and the little girl gets to pick an Anna or an Elsa costume. And again, 5 guests along with her get the reserved seating and blah, blah,
So you
blah.
can't get the outfit and all without doing the reserve seating?
Well, you could, but you'd probably have to go to another store to get it. Like, if you're going to do the whole experience.
I don't really care.
Okay, well, that's cool. Some of them want the full experience. There is an alternate option where you can reserve an Olaf T-shirt and an Olaf-inspired glitter hairstyle instead. If
Oh,
you
for
don't
little
want,
guys?
if you don't want Anna and
Why do
Elsa.
they put glitter in the boys' hair? When I was a
Because Rhino
kid,
likes it.
I just
I do.
I know you do.
Okay, so
Rhino farts glitter.
if you
My son.
Don't tell
if
my
you want to book
secrets.
one of these packages, the number is 407-827-7400. I can attest to the fact that there are many, many happy little children running around the studios as we speak after having visited this boutique.
Does anybody know? Does Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique do Anna and Elsa, or is this the first experience like this?
I think that they do Anna and Elsa. I want to say yes, but they don't do this variation of it. Like
Right.
everyone that goes to Bibbidi blah blah that place, their hair gets pulled back
Yeah.
in this tight, like awful, scary
That
way.
stays for days.
to
Yeah.
take away the wrinkles.
Yeah.
Right. So,
I tried it at home. It didn't work.
I mean, I think that and they do all the makeup the same and all that. They can pick an Anna or Elsa costume from what I
Right.
understand, but it's still that like,
So,
you know.
so if your kids are Frozen fans, this is definitely the better option.
Yes, this
It's a more
is
casual
more,
option.
This is more Frozen themed.
Yeah,
So yeah,
including an immersive cafe.
yeah, you get the cafe
Immersive.
with snacks while you wait.
Ice
Yeah.
cubes.
Awesome. Thank you, JL. Over to you, T.
I don't have one. I'm sorry.
She wants to talk about the test track fight, I think.
Yeah, nobody brought
Test
that up
track
today.
what?
There was a
Oh,
fight at
yeah.
Test Track.
Yeah.
There was a
In the
flood at
queue.
Test
A
Track.
No,
fight,
fight.
Teresa.
Oh, a fight.
There was a
Trust me,
flood.
everyone would be electrocuted. There was a flood.
There was
Oh,
a
there
fight at
was
Test
that
Track.
what I saw? I kept seeing 3 people
bro-
fighting at
The
Epcot.
lady hitting the other
hitting
lady with the umbrella.
Yeah.
She
What
was
were they
escorted.
fighting about?
She thought the one lady cut her in line.
Cut her in line.
So she beat her in the head with an umbrella?
Like the penguin from Batman.
It was the video was very
was-
Jerry Springer.
It was classy.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean, screaming, hair pulling, punching.
Cast member
kicking.
grabbing her like he's the guy on the
Wow.
side. Yeah.
that
I
stuff
mean-
still happens?
But
It
they
did.
said that
Disney World?
neither
Yeah.
one of them was ejected from the park. No one was arrested. Nobody pressed charges.
All good fun.
You know,
Getting the aggression out.
Well,
It's like Fight Club. They didn't call the police.
Thank you for your rapid fire, Teresa.
Kathy.
Okay. Mine is you can now opt out of getting a MagicBand when you
Thank God.
yes. So you can decide if you want them or not. You can also, if you have a split stay, you can decide if you want it for the second stay. They're not going to automatically
That's nice.
send it for the second one. That's sort of like good news, bad news, because I have like a whole basket of MagicBands.
Right, well,
the
that's
great
it.
ones.
As I've got 79 Magic Bands, not literally, but I've got a ton of Magic Bands.
After we do the 7 and 7s, it's
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, I'm like, I don't want this. I don't need it. I'm not going to wear, this. I've got all my nice,
Special edition.
special edition ones and my ones from different parties and stuff. Those are the ones I want to wear. I don't necessarily want to wear the gray one.
Yeah.
And, I'm glad it saves the money anyhow.
Yeah.
I mean, why waste the money
Saves
sending them
saves
out?
the planet.
The only potential problem I see is, the battery in there that wears out after a certain time. If you bring your favorite MagicBand and you get here and you find out it doesn't work.
They'll get you another one.
Well, I know they're going to get you another one, but then I can just see people going like, oh, I had to spend time now. It's another one of those. You can't please everybody, but some people are going to be upset that they had to then go get a MagicBand.
Oh, they'll get over it.
Grace lost hers, and they wouldn't replace it. I had to buy another one. I thought they would just replace
if you
it.
lose it.
No. I think it's one thing if you're at the hotel and that's your room key and stuff like that, they'll deactivate it and give you
Okay.
another one because you have
Well,
a
hers is
reservation.
an annual pass, obviously.
But for that, no.
Yeah.
Because you had to buy that in the first place,
right.
and that's your responsibility
That's what I
to
told her.
keep track
Use the
of it.
card, girl.
It is up and running because I actually just used the app yesterday. In fact, I had to renew our annual passes, and you can get a new MagicBand every time you do that. So when I went to the app, it did have an option underneath the icon that said, decline MagicBand.
Did you
So-
decline them?
Nope.
No,
I
you want
one.
another color,
I want
yeah.
another
Get another
color.
color,
I
yeah.
got orange this time.
Oh, I did too on my last one for
Okay.
fall.
I'm excited
Stop
about
being
it.
interesting.
Okay.
Is that a good color on you?
Thank you, Kathy. Rhino.
Okay, so mine is about the Disney Channel original movie, Descendants. Which
Is it a movie or is it?
It's a
It's an
Disney
original.
Channel original movie.
Kind of like High School
but
Musical.
not a series.
No.
No, but it will be a series of films because I did watch it last night. So now I know. But it premieres on Friday on the Disney Channel. But I think starting, I want to say on the 24th, if you had the Watch Disney Channel app, which if you have an Apple TV, it's on there. If you have, I don't know what else it's on besides like you can do it on your iPhone, iPad, whatever. I don't know where else. I don't know any of the other stuff, but. Download the if you don't have it, download it. Put in your information. You can watch the movie right now. It has like one commercial in the middle of it.
Oh, that's cool.
And I watched it so I could write a review or whatever about it. And I wanted to know what all the buzz was about.
Do you
And-
like it?
Okay, the first 6 minutes of it are just terrible. But once the adult villains show up, who are like Kristen Chenoweth as Maleficent, Kathy Najimy as the Evil Queen, once they show up, it actually it picked up pace, and I enjoyed it, and I actually found myself laughing at some of the jokes, and not because it's terrible laughing, but because I was like, oh, that was kind of clever, and I would say I would put it on par with Once Upon a Time. I would say it was as creative as it was, but it does sometimes look a little, I don't know what it is. There's no restraint if you look at these costumes, like they come from Leather Daddy Island.
Who's the little white-haired boy in the corner?
That's
Is
Cruella
that-
DeVille's son. That
Yeah.
the one to the left is Mal. That's Maleficent's daughter. Evie is the Evil Queen's daughter, and then the one on the end is Jay, is Jafar's son.
They're not original names.
Very original.
They're all juniors.
But it was a musical, which I didn't think it needed to be because I think there was a total of 4 songs in
Well,
it.
if you have Kristen Chenoweth,
Well,
You have to
and I
sing,
and I was just
yeah.
gonna say,
must be singing.
Her number is fantastic. I actually found myself wanting to go back. I listened to it when I was done watching it, and then I went to go look for it this morning. So if I could just download that one
So
song,
you're
it's not
going to buy the soundtrack, just the single.
Well, you can't get it till Friday, so I'm part of an exclusive club because I did that. So do
Thank
it,
you, Ethel
guys.
Merman.
Let's talk about it.
I watched the preview, and
The preview was god awful, and that was the first 10
Yeah.
minutes. That was the first whatever. So if you can stomach it and move on, I recommend having a nice adult beverage if you're an adult watching it with your child or
Well,
whatever.
are they single parents? Or
Yeah, they're all single parents. They don't have any. They're villains. They didn't find them.
Stupid.
What?
Craig does not approve. You
I
don't
just want to
approve?
know where their spouses are.
You don't approve, Craig?
Weak spined spouses, where they are.
I liked it more than High School Musical the first time I saw that. So
Okay.
I'd say it's on par with that. It's Kenny Ortega. So
and Craig doesn't approve, so
Rhino will do his review. I'll put out a review too, and we'll compare and contrast.
he's gonna hate it.
see, but you haven't seen it.
I've only watched the preview. I have Bright House, and they don't you can't use the Watch Disney Channel app with that.
Okay,
So
you
If
haven't
you're a
seen
cast
it.
member, you get it
You
for free too.
you haven't seen it, and you already hate it.
the preview. I mean, there's 16-year-olds humping and thrusting the air as
Okay.
they're dancing
Well-
around.
Oh my!
We're okay. He just said the preview was god awful, so maybe why don't you wait till you actually watch it and try to watch it with an open mind.
I
and
try
see-
to
crusting.
laugh and enjoy a little bit.
Okay,
of
blah blah blah. Craig, what's your rapid fire?
So, for all of you Martha's Vineyard fans out there, we call it Martha's Graveyard at the DIS because it is literally the worst place you could ever
This
go
is
to have
at-
a drink
this-
at
this
Disney's
is-
Beach Club.
This is the lounge at the beach club, which is kind of tucked back in a corner, away from the lobby, and as you're walking the beaches in cream, there it is on your right. But
Yeah, you'll notice it by no one's in there, and there's cobwebs, and it looks like the Haunted Mansion most of the time, just less popular. So on August 22nd, from 2 to 3 o'clock, there is going to be a wine pairing. A wine expert from the featured winery and a Disney chef will guide guests through the tasting, describing what to watch for. 3 wines will be sampled, and this one, they say it's for San Sebastian Winery, but I've got to believe that it's probably more like Franzia or Sutter Home, something more on that
No,
level.
they don't do that. Stop.
The cost is $60 per person, tax and gratuity not included. You get a bottle of red wine to go in a lighthouse-shaped bottle, and it can start to be reserved beginning on August 3rd.
Awesome.
That's it.
All right, thank you, Craig. Thanks, everybody, for your rapid fire. Before we wrap up, I do want to spend a few minutes just kind of recognizing that July 25th was the 9-year anniversary of the DIS Unplugged.
Wow.
It has been 9 years that we have been doing this show. And something I haven't done in a long time, I went back and listened to the first episode that we did. Now, I've told the story before that we'd had other people that had been doing the show that I was paying, radio professionals who were absolutely wonderful. Just the show itself wasn't very good. That had nothing to do with them. That was all my fault. And they had gone on vacation, and we were getting horrible reviews. And I said, okay, well, let's do a roundtable format while they're on vacation. What I didn't realize until I listened back to it was that I was actually planning to do that as a regular segment. The roundtable was Nancy and Gordon were going to do their show that they were doing already, and that we would also do as a segment each week the roundtable. But the roundtable became very popular, and so at some point I decided not to do it. But I had completely forgotten that. I'm listening to it, I'm like, okay, I don't remember that I wanted to do that, but okay. And it was just funny what we were talking about. That first episode, it was about Matt We Met leaving Disney, and of course Bob was on the show along with Corey, myself, and Ricky Pearson, who was working for us at the time. I was a friend of Corey's, actually. They went to college together, and there's like no production value. The audio is terrible.
There's no music or anything like
No
that.
music, no nothing. That's because it was very last minute.
Yeah.
I think we said it was mid-October, because that was the end of July, and it was like sometime in October was the first time that the music showed up.
Right.
I tried a couple of different things, but I was going back, just like kind of listening to some of the old episodes. We talked about Portofino Bay in that, and it made me realize how often I say arguably the best resort in Orlando, because on that episode talked about it, and I'm like, God, I say that a lot, don't I? And also, I always talk about Matt We Met. As I mentioned, we talked about Matt We Met on that leaving Disney on that first one. We didn't know who the new president of Walt Disney World was going to be, because it had been announced that Al Weiss was leaving for worldwide operations. At that point, we didn't realize that was where Disney executives go to die. And that we didn't know who was going to be named, because we thought it was going to be Matt We Met. And Bob was the one who was speculating that's probably why Matt left, because he wanted that job and he didn't get it, and that was the rumor we were hearing. And that was recorded, I'm almost 100% sure, in my dining room. At that point, there was no roundtable. We were not in what was the original studio, was back where the production nook is.
I still find that hard.
Can you switch to that? It's not wide enough to see. There's a wall.
So it ended right here where this door is.
Okay, so where that door is.
I can
actually on the.
Zoom us out, Dustin. Nope.
Wrong way.
Okay, so you see where the where the
The ghost? What are we?
no
The light
no.
switch.
Where the light switch
your
is.
point at
It's
the light
actually no.
switch.
It's right on the edge of the corkboard. If those of you watching on the bottom, you can see my finger right here in this. That was all a wall,
Oh, I see
and
your point.
that was a room back there. These were 2 bedrooms. We knocked this wall out to create the studio, but initially, before we had even done that, like I said, we would sit in this this back area, and but we didn't do that. I want to say for at least the first couple episodes, we recorded them in my dining room.
Wow.
And
Seems like it would be very echoey in there if you were to record.
you know, I mean, my audio was a little off. It was very poppy.
Oh yeah, it was.
Everybody else's was pretty good, but then we moved into it had blue shag carpet.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
It was very 70s. This entire house was very 70s when I bought it. I spent a lot of money and do a lot of work because I love the house, I love the layout, but the 70s touches had to go. Then we would sit, John, Kevin, Corey, Julie, Bob, and myself would just shoehorn into that little room and do the show. And we've told the story before that if somebody had to go to the bathroom, everybody had to get up and leave.
Were you guys here when it was one room, or had it already
No,
been
it
widened
It
out?
had been 2 rooms, and the production nook was a wicker chair, a director chair, and a refrigerator.
Yes.
I remember
We
the
were
wicker
here.
chair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'd fight over that.
But no, but
Yeah.
it was when you came, I'd already had the wall
Oh, it was
knocked
2
out.
rooms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One room.
It
Yeah.
was 1 room, one bigger
Right.
room. A different table.
And I did this. I don't remember now. When I knocked this wall out, I don't remember if it was before Bob died or after. I think it was after.
Well, I don't know. Bob died in April, right?
No, we were already sitting in here when Bob died. That's right. No, we knocked that
on
wall
like
out.
wrought iron painful chairs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's right. That's right. It was before Bob died. But it's funny because obviously 9 years is a long time to be doing the show, and when we come to any kind of anniversary, I get very melancholy and I start thinking back about this and that. But I didn't want to make a big deal out of the 9th anniversary. I mean, it's a great milestone, but I'm looking at next year. I mean, 10 years.
10 years. Yeah.
10
That's a big
years.
one.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one. And, I have nothing planned yet. Things are in the head, but I want to do something. I want to do something.
I can't believe it's been 7 for Kathy and I.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just
9 years. 9 years we have been doing this show. And go ahead.
I was going to say, I can remember sitting at home. I watched the podcast from the very beginning. And I can remember talking back to my computer like, no, it's not like that. And if I was there, I'd say this, never ever thinking that I'd be sitting here at the round table. And I can remember the first time I came into this room, I sat over there, I sat in Kevin's chair, and I did a review of the Wilderness Lodge. And it's like, I couldn't believe I was here. It was like,
September 3rd,
yeah.
2008.
It's.
She just looked that up.
No, I didn't.
But
How did you know that?
I was reminiscing the other day and going back and listening to old shows.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I was announced on the July 16th show.
Of 2008.
You were announced the week after that.
Okay.
And then I sat in the peanut gallery for 2 or 3 shows and through August. And then your first was September 3rd, and I came in the following week and talked about the Mickey's Not So Scary.
Oh, wow.
And I sounded like a little meek, weepy little.
You were so
I was
nervous.
terrified. I was like, I don't want to do this. Don't make. Because when he hired me, I don't believe you ever told me until I was hired and I was here in Florida that I was going to be on the show.
It was a very, that was a time, we were all in flux. I mean, we were still reeling from Bob's passing that April. And, I know that we made a lot of changes to the show. We were adding people to staff. And, John and Kevin went out and bought a car, and I was buying equipment. And it just seemed to be like we all needed to do
lot going
something
on, yeah.
with what we were feeling. And it was. I probably wasn't part of the plan initially, but I don't even remember. I mean, that's the sad thing, is that I just, when I went back and listened to the first show, I'm like, God, the number of things I forget.
It was a lot.
I can
that happened.
remember that it was, it was John, Kevin, Bob, and we met that one young listener at Animal Kingdom. It was when Joe Rohde
Anthony?
was. Yes, it was. We were it was Joe Rohde was there. It was the 10th anniversary, I think, of Animal Kingdom. That's when I had my interview with John for this. And that's when Bob turned to me, because Katie was sitting beside me, and she was very quietly singing the songs, and Bob went, "Is she going to sing all those songs?" So that was like, and then I says it was.
But Bob would say something like that with a certain thing in his voice,
Oh,
so that
right,
it never
right.
sounded sarcastic.
No.
It never sounded mean.
No. But that was on a Thursday, and then he died that Monday. And it's like, wow. And I
Oh,
said,
wow.
that's when you guys were thinking about bringing me along, and then Bob dying sort of delayed everything. But
Yeah, it makes me think about the last 9 years and how much the show has changed. When I think about that first episode and sitting in my dining room, and we're terrified. John and Kevin were on the following episode. The second episode was the first time John and Kevin showed up. You kind of go back and listen to some of those, and it's just, well, make sure we put. You don't need a link. If you just go to iTunes, it's all there.
Yeah, it's in the feed.
And but just going back and kind of listening to that first episode and hearing how different it is now, yet there's still elements, still that same, non-scripted opinion. We all knew each other. We were all close. We were all friends. I could hear it and feel it in that first episode. That still remains, I think, a core part of what the show is today. It's one of the reasons I think the show, from my standpoint anyway, is a good show. That we all know each other. We're all close. We love each other. We're extended family in here, and there is that comfortable nature that we have with each other, and that chemistry that we have together. And for all the things that have changed with this show over the past 9 years, it was really nice for me to feel like that's still intact, and that's still there.
one of my stories that demonstrates how far we've come was after Bob died. We did a Dole Whip meet in Magic Kingdom, and we took a group photo of everybody, and that was when John's there. Nobody needs to know who I am, what I look like.
Yeah.
I remember that.
And so I came home and I photoshopped the top half of John and Kevin out of the picture. And, I put bushes there and it looked really good. But I said to Katie, how long do you think it's going to take before people notice there's extra legs in the picture? Because I didn't take the legs out.
It's too much work.
And it was like a couple minutes later because everybody was so interested in what we all look like. But now, with doing the show,
Well, that was one of the big concerns when we decided to not switch to video, but add video into what we were doing, was that, John and Kevin in particular just were not thrilled with that for a long time. But, and I remember saying to Dustin when we were originally talking about it, John and Kevin are going to have a problem with this. But when we brought it to them, they were like, okay, yeah. It's time. We're ready. It's good.
Well, at some point you have to say, my face, what I am, I need to be there. And that's the same way when you have small children, you take the pictures and you're never in the picture. And at some point, I have to have a record that I was there.
Well, it's funny. I was saying to Dustin yesterday, I have this amazing diary of the last 9 years of my Disney life in a way that very few people have. That, we are, we don't talk about every aspect of our lives on the show, so clearly it's not a diary of my entire life. But, for everything that I've done with the site and with Disney, I have this incredible diary of over the last 9 years, which I just never looked at it like that until yesterday. And, ultimately at the end of the day, I have you, those of you who listen and watch, to thank for that. If we're just talking to ourselves, it's not a podcast, it's a conversation.
Yeah.
And you guys have been remarkably supportive, and it's been an awesome run. It's been an awesome 9 years, and excited to see what the future looks like. And if I were you and you were interested, I would keep that fourth week in July next year available. All I'm saying, just keep it available. Not going to do a cruise, not going to do anything, but I think we should do something. I want to do something. I don't know. So I'm just saying. I'm just throwing it out there. Just between you and me. Maybe keep that last week in July next year, because I think for the 10th anniversary, I'd like to do something. So that is going to do it for me for this week. Coming up next, Dustin and the team are going to talk about best merchandise locations around Walt Disney World in his newest bracket segment. And we hope you enjoyed the show. We'll be back with you again next time with another edition of the DIS Unplugged. Thanks for being with us, everyone. And remember, go to Disneyland. Have a good week.